Welcome everyone to Medi-Veggie. Hope you enjoyed that cover of Miss Independent by musician EJ Villanueva.
I love it.
So this month we are celebrating Women's History Month, and to remind ourselves of the accomplishments of women throughout the years to our culture and society, we're going to be presenting about a group of women every single week this month. So from science to politics, this is our chance to reflect on the trailblazers who lead the way for change in our societies.
Yeah, very exciting. And I want to say hi to everyone first. How's everyone doing? Welcome to Medi-Veggie. Look, we're all like dressed up, right?
Yeah, it's a special month. It's our month.
And you know, women need to be celebrated big time, right?
Yes.
So for that, we're going to be sharing some accomplishments of Vietnamese women. So while I prepare that, Esther is going to fill us in with like anything that's exciting that's going on. And
yeah, so today we have a wonderful presentation on a selection of women from Vietnam, I believe, or Southeast Asian women, presented by Ashley. And then next week we will be having an artist who is going to share 3 of his paintings, also focusing on women and romantic love and that sort of matter. So thank you for joining us. And if you are new to Medi-Veggie, we're here every Wednesday giving you vegetarian recipes and also a short 15-minute guided meditation. You can always join us on the Zoom call, or you can watch our stream through Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or LinkedIn.
And without further ado, let's have Ashley present for us. Tell us a little bit about these women who are in no particular order. Let me see here. Here we go. Let's begin.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I've put together this presentation about some Southeast Asian women that I feel like everyone should know. And their skills range from politics to the arts like cooking. So I hope everyone that watches this gets something out of it.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
All right. And so for our first slide, we have Nue An Yong.
Thank you,
Sean. Yeah, I still need to practice my Vietnamese pronunciation, but yes, she is a Vietnamese American scientist that's referred to as the scientist who developed the bomb that ended the war with Afghanistan by the Vietnamese American National Gala. So Nguyen was born in Saigon, and her and her family were given political asylum in the US. And while she was in the US, she graduated from the University of Maryland, College Park, with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Chemical Engineering and Computer Science. And throughout her career, she has successfully assembled and led a team of scientists and engineers to develop a thermobaric bomb, which is basically a type of bomb that uses the surrounding oxygen to create a high temperature explosion. All right, and for our next woman, we have Nisha Ayub. And Nisha is a Malaysian transgender rights activist, and she is also one of the co-founders of transgender grassroots campaign Justice for Sisters. So for Nisha, she was born in Malacca, Malaysia, and she recalls having memories of her childhood where she would, dress up with dresses or wear tutu skirts and things like that. And that's when she realized like she was Nisha. And that's when she started exploring more of her gender identity. But in Malaysia, there are Sharia laws, which basically prohibits men from dressing or behaving like a woman in public. And as a result, Nisha has, violated that law. And that violation of that law costs a fine up to 257 US dollars, and you could be jailed from 6 months to a year. And so Nisha was jailed for about 3 months in the year 2000. And within her time in jail, she experienced a lot of sexual assault, harassment, and verbal and physical abuse. So she has endured a lot to advocate for the transgender community in Malaysia. And as a result, she has been honored with the Human Rights Watch's Alison de Forges Award for Extraordinary Activism, International Woman of Courage Award. And in San Diego, April 5th is a holiday called Nisha Ayub Day to celebrate her work. And next we have Bong Koch B. Santongon. So she is a Thai chef and Michelin-starred restaurateur that was named the Elite Vodka Asia's Best Female Chef in 2018. And for B, she was born in Bangkok, and her goal is to recreate ancient Thai recipes and culinary techniques alongside her husband and business partner, Jason Bailey. And she has opened one of her restaurants based Bangkok and obviously Bangkok, but she has also opened one in Laos and plans to expand to Australia, where her husband is actually from. And other than that award, she has also been awarded the winner of Most Loved Thai Fine Dining Restaurant by Time Out in 2016, one of the 10 best Michelin rated restaurants in Bangkok by The Guardian in 2017, and number 31 on Asia's 50 best restaurants in 2018. And our last woman of the series is Catherine V. Harry, who is a Cambodian-based vlogger, and her vlog is called A Dose of Cath. And she aims to educate Cambodian women on a variety of topics of women's issues, from menstruation to sex education. Her Facebook page has about 200,000 followers, and her most popular video on YouTube is about women's virginity, which has about 2 million views, and her other videos get about 100,000 views per video. And she aims to just have people unlearn some of the patriarchal topics that we've grown up with, especially in Cambodia, where it's a lot more strict than how it is in the US. She is subject to a lot of hate from men, both men and women, but she still tries to educate everyone despite all the backlash she gets.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for that presentation. We're super excited that you joined us today in like a very formal presentation. You did a wonderful job highlighting these amazing women. So with that, I think, Esther, we're ready for the next segment.
Yes, today we're going to be shown a recipe on the Indian dish saag by Mina Gates.
Hi, how are you? So today, there we go. We've got the recipe. She's written it out. So this is really something you've all had in restaurants before. This is saag. And when you first make saag, you can make it out of anything. I want to talk a little bit about this recipe while we're working through it. But you take off all of the fibrous part. You use every part. Saag is really sort of this dish that women all over in India and what they would go into the fields and they would find any greens that they could find. And I was inspired by this recipe because one day I was by my house and there was a field and there were women right in California here looking for greens. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, we're getting greens from this field for making saag. So I started looking at all the different things you can make saag from. And you can make it with broccoli and with mustard greens and with everything. I mean, just so many different kinds of greens, beet greens. So I put all of these into a big old Instapot and put in literally 9 to 10 handfuls of spinach. I mean, it's just so full of goodness. Typically they make it out of rapini, which is like an Italian broccoli. But I just used what I had and I took, 5 or 6 of these tomatoes and put it in for about maybe 4 or 5 minutes on high and let it get really cooked up. I added half a cup of water, and then I actually put it into one of these food processors and processed it up. I mean, look at how green and lovely that is. It's just so healthy. Then I diced up a onion. That's the right way to do it. That's how we got taught in culinary school. And then put it on, sauteed it basically, and got these onions nice and brown with a tablespoon of butter or ghee. You can use really anything. I always put in a little bit of salt. I put in some cumin seeds, asafoetida, which you only want to use a very small amount, about an eighth of a teaspoon, 5 teaspoons of minced ginger, 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and just mix it all up. Let it saute. I also added a little bit of salt, like I said. And that's the asafoetida. If you have too much of that, it just gets really bitter. So you want to use it very sparingly. I don't know if I mentioned, the one thing I did add when I was putting it into the Instapot was I did add 1 whole chili. You can add 2 whole chilies if you like. Didn't have fresh chili, so I put in frozen. So then I put it all into a pot, add that wonderful mince, and I added some extra chili and some salt to taste. Mixed it up and let it cook for a while, and voila, you have your basic saag. Now, you probably have had saag paneer. You can just have it just like that. But if you want to have saag paneer, you can actually buy some paneer or make some paneer. I can show you how to make paneer another time. Or, I always watch my calories. So I took some tofu and I sauteed it with a little bit of ginger and garlic and put it in. And voila, that's how easy sag is. I mean, really, it's a comfort food. And it reminds me of all those women all over the world that do whatever they have to do, get whatever they need to do from the land in order to feed their families. And so for me, these are the heroes and the heroines of our world, doing whatever they have to do, getting whatever they can get to feed their families. Yeah. And I just love sag. So I thought you guys might want to like that too.
I like it too. And I had no idea how to make that. So thank you for sharing. And we will post the actual recipe on chopsticksalley.com. And we'll talk. I have a bunch of questions for you. So we'll talk more about that after our meditation. So with that, let's have Dr. Smita Garg get going. Thank you.
Oh my God, Meena, that sag got me so hungry. It's truly a comfort food. It's what women made in villages all over India. So anyway, today's meditation is actually a dedication to my guru, because today is a very special day. In India, we are celebrating what is called Shivaratri, and Shiva is supposed to be the ultimate guru, the ultimate teacher. So this goes out to all the teachers who have taught us whatever we have learned, and so this meditation is actually my guru's meditation. It's not mine, and I'm going to do it with everybody. It's very, very beautiful. It's a short meditation, and what it does is there are 5 layers of our existence. And there is the outer layer, our body. There is the breath. There is the mind. There is the intellect. And then there is the spirit. And that forms the system on which, yoga and meditation is based. So this meditation is about bringing all those 5 layers into union, and also getting deep relief and healing. So let's begin. So this meditation is called the Panchakosha meditation. I learned this from my guru, and today I thank him for helping me get where I am on my spiritual journey. So let us sit easily and comfortably and just close our eyes. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. And once again, take a deep breath in. And let go. Listen to the noises around you. Whatever those noises may be, whether it's the rain outside, the traffic, the heater in your house, or the dishwasher, or the refrigerator, or the sound of children playing outside in the rain. Watch and listen carefully to any sounds around you. Accept all the noises and sounds. Be in harmony with your surroundings. Take a deep breath in and let go. Become aware of your physical body. The body is a beautiful gift to you by nature and God in love. Honor and respect your body. Become aware of your feet. Legs. Genitals. Abdomen. Stomach. Chest. Arms. Face. Head. The whole body. Take a deep breath and let go. Become aware of your thoughts. Whether good thoughts or not so good thoughts. Be in harmony with your thoughts. Do not resist any thoughts. Let them come. Now you are in harmony with your thoughts. Take a deep breath and let go. Become aware of your feelings. Accept the feelings as they are. You are peace and joy. Become aware of your feelings. Become aware of your thoughts. Become aware of the sensations in your body. Become aware of your environment. Take a deep breath and let go. And slowly and gradually, at your own pace, when you feel ready, you may open your eyes. Namaste.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hated that.
How is everybody feeling?
Very good. We'd like to thank our Zoom participants for joining us today. Say hi to Elizabeth Trainer, Uncle Jin Nguyen, and Marcos Villa, and all our friends out there in the world. Thanks for joining us. We hope you had a chance to do the meditation because this was a good one.
Yeah, it goes through the different layers that we are connected to each one of us. you know, our body, mind, intellect, our environment. So what I love about this meditation is how he shows us how to accept everything. When he says, whatever thoughts come, just let them come, you know. And usually when we think of meditation, we think of, oh, you know, just suppress everything. You have to get rid of all thoughts. We have to, no, you accept everything, all parts of you. So that's what I love about this meditation.
Yeah. I was recognizing that too when, usually we're discouraged from having random thoughts like, oh, put it away, right? But this one, you're like, that's part of you, accept it. So I thought that was very different. Yeah.
And I think
I think
that's one of the things I've learned from him, from my guru, Sri Ravi Shankar, that he teaches you to accept yourself completely, fully. You know, the dark, the light, whatever you are, you accept everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mita,
Nina, you were saying something?
Mita, I have a poetry for you.
oh,
She flew to where her life was wandering. I am like a cloud of tears in Turo. Love the country far away from sight. Why here at the end of life in waiting for the vote?
wow, thank you.
Chào My, chú đọc qua tiếng Việt. Mây bay về đâu kiếp lang thang, ta cũng như mây lại hai hàng, thương quê xa tóc qua tầm mắt, tóc trắng cuối đời đợi đỏ ngán. Thank you all.
Oh, thank you. Maybe someone can type it out in the chat. I would love to have the words.
Okay. Maybe you can email me the poem and then I can make sure that we also share that.
I can send you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So Mina, I really want to get back to your recipe because I have some questions.
Sure.
There was a moment when you sprinkled this yellow thing and you called it something and you said, oh, don't cook it too long or don't add too much because it becomes bitter. So what is that again?
Fenugreek.
No,
It's
it's
no.
is it
Oh no, wait, sorry.
asafoetida?
Asafoetida. I'm sorry. Vista. Oh gosh, I'm still so relaxed from that meditation. I'm in another planet. It's like I almost haven't come down from that yet, you know. Asafoetida.
Sorry to pull you down to earth.
No, it's okay. I was floating up there, you know. And the poetry and everything is just so good for the soul. I love the show. I love the people. I love the energy. Just putting it out there. But to asafoetida, let's go back to that. It's very
How do you
bitter.
spell that? How do you spell that?
Oh, I knew you would ask that. ASO, I think, FEDITA. Is that correct? Asafoetida?
FOE.
Spell check
ASO
gave it to me.
FOE.
FEDITA. Yeah.
No, it's FOE.
Asafoetida.
Yeah. It's just called asafoetida.
Yeah.
It's actually a sap of a tree.
Oh.
And it becomes crystallized, the sap. And then it's taken off the trees. And it has these incredible qualities, you know. I mean, India is a country of spices, right? That's where so many spices came from. And each spice has a medicinal quality, and asafoetida is, you know, one of those spices which is actually, you know, all these leafy vegetables, broccoli, what do they do to our body? They're very gassy. What do beans do to our body? They're very gassy. So asafoetida is your antidote to gas.
Okay.
And you use it in very small quantities. because it's very potent. It can cause a surge of, you can break out in a sweat, you know. And so in Indian food, there is a nature ascribed to every food, every plant, every spice. So there are spices and plants that have a warm nature, and then there are spices and plants that have a cold nature. So asafoetida is one of those warm natured, substances. If you eat too much, it's going to put your body in fire and bring some disbalance within the body. And so you use it in very small quantities.
Yeah, if you use too much, you can have diarrhea.
Yeah.
And it's just really, it really is very bitter. So
It's
just
pungent. It's
yeah,
pungent.
pungent.
It's
Oh,
very smelly.
oh my gosh, I have a story
It
for
can
that.
smell of H2S,
Uh,
so you have
I
to kind of use it sparingly.
I made a tin, like a dabba, like when you get married, your mother gives you a dabba, which is this tin, and in the tin are all of these these various spices. So sometimes I give them as gifts. So I remember I used to work in transplant, and I gave this gift to the head pathologist or the sheriff's pathologist or whatever they're called, medical, oh gosh, what are they called? Anyway, whatever. They're the medical people that basically look at the deaths in the county, right? For Santa Clara. Medical examiner, sorry. And I told him, he's like, he had this, and I forgot to tell him to put it in a Ziploc bag. The asafoetida should always be in a Ziploc bag, because apparently he left it in his car and the sun beat down on it, and the entire car stunk for like months. So she is so right. Do not leave it out there. But, I love the idea of being able to use whatever greens you have, like beet greens, chard, broccoli greens, rainbow chard, any mustard greens, any kind of greens that you can find. You can use them. And in this case, I didn't have any greens other than spinach and broccoli, so I used that. And you can use the same technique with any kind of greens. And, think about how many calories were in that, for example. How much nutrition? That was not really cooked very much. It was very fresh. There was probably no more than a teaspoon of butter or ghee in there. That's it.
So, Mina, if somebody is vegan, they'd want to replace butter and ghee with something that's not,
they can use
so
oil.
They can use oil. So I
Coconut
would
oil?
recommend using mustard oil, which can be found in Indian grocery stores, and
Right.
it pairs really well. And it's supposed to be one of the best oils that you can consume for health, for good health.
Fabulous. I've never used it. I've never ever used mustard oil, but I will definitely go out and get some. Is it as pungent, or is it just oil that's being made? Is it just oil? Like, sometimes when you want to make
It's made from
basil oil,
mustard.
it's
It's
actually
made from mustard. It's actually made from mustard. And I have a bottle right here, which I can bring and show
Is
to
it spicy?
everybody.
Does it smell like?
It's the oil smells of mustard. So it's very nutty. It has a nutty smell. It's
Wow.
very homey, nutty kind of smell. And you have to let the oil get to a smoking point. Unlike olive oil, which you can use like without it getting really hot, mustard oil, you should let it go to the point where it's smoking and then add cumin and spices to it. So, but it's the best oil you can have. And the more research they're doing into mustard oil, the more they are finding how good it is for us, for our bodies. So, and in the villages, they had those compressors, those oil compressors which would take the oil out. So it's a very village sort of based oil. It's not like, a very urban kind of oil, but it's supposed to be very good.
when I was in one of these villages, I actually built toilets in a village in India with my daughter, with my sister's not-for-profit that helps with building toilets for women. I remember this woman who must have been about 85 years old, maybe even 90, and her children, her grandchildren went and picked all the things from the fields. Then she came back, she had cow dung and she made a fire, and then she made these things made out of millet, these sort of like little round chapatis, but not chapatis, but round kind of, they were harder.
Pancakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they made the sag, and then they would eat it with that. And it was really crazy. And then a plane went overhead, and she asked me where I was from. No, she asked me how I came, whether I came by car or whether I came by horse, or how did I come. And I looked up and I said, I came from there, from the sky in the plane. And that was just it was just, I mean, it's just something.
And then
really
you actually also add some jaggery to it.
jaggery.
So jaggery that's
Sweetness.
eaten on the side with
Yeah.
the sag. So anyway, here's the oil.
I never ever eat. I try not to eat too much sugar. Yep. Okay. Cool. Can you turn it around so we can see the label, please?
Yes.
There it is. Perfect. Thank
Cool.
you so much, ladies, for all this additional details. I feel so
I didn't even know them.
ignorant about all of that. But let's bring it back to you're talking about women and the how these women have to go and use cow dung to make different things. But I mean, really, women, I feel, are the carrier of values for every society. And unfortunately, right, though that is the case, I feel like, here, hang on, let me try to make everyone appear here. I feel like women are also training men and us to mistreat each other as well. So I'm calling us women out. So we can't sit there and go, oh, men mistreat us, yet we teach our boys to treat women a certain way, don't we?
Right.
And that's wrong,
Totally.
right? And so,
Totally.
and because women, we are the ones who tend to be the ones caring for the children and giving them values, then what the heck are we doing?
There's such a double standard.
Yeah. And when the boy goes out, to find, a wife or whatever, we have a hard time with that girl, we just we have a hard time letting go of our kid. I've seen that a lot too, especially the culture I'm from. So
is this common to all Southeast Asian cultures, this sort of the boy being the more valued child in the family, getting the education, getting the freedoms, getting all the opportunities? Is that because boys are seen as more valuable financially eventually, or that they take the responsibility for the parents? Because really, it feels to me like the women are the ones that are doing the work, like in terms of bathing and cooking and taking care of the elderly and all that.
Yeah, I feel that the Chinese has influenced a lot of Southeast Asia. And in our discussion going live with each other here, we mentioned this because Vietnam used to be a matriarchal society, meaning women ruled. And then the Chinese conquered Vietnam for 1,000 years, so therefore influencing our culture, right? But what I find interesting, and it's always like we're always arguing about this, like who is really the head of the household, is I feel, Thu Trinh, please correct me, but inside the house, the woman rules, right? But outside the house, she has to pretend that her husband rules, so that people would look at him like, oh, he's not a loser, or, and so, she pretends like, oh, I have to ask my husband's permission and all this, but in the end, she really makes the decision. So we're still pretending, we play this game, but really though, at the end of the day, forget the head of the household, women roles in Vietnamese society, in America and in Vietnam, I still feel needs a lot of improvement.
I think
I
especially when you layer that culture and bring in white evangelical Christianity, it adds another layer of like submission. I used to be taught, that like with this Adam and Eve dynamic, the husband is the head and the woman is the neck. And so the older woman would tell us, like, that's a great thing. Like, you're the one that moves the head. Like, you have so much strength. And I was like, not satisfied, because it still means that, the man is the one that's up and center. Like, it's like he's the main character and you're the sideshow that enables the main character to have a story.
And also
Yeah.
you become a manipulator. So then this
Yes.
story goes out that women manipulate, and because we almost have to.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Trami, that is so true.
And
Like,
you know,
did it?
yeah, and I think in Christianity, there's also this whole dynamic between Adam and Eve, where Eve is, the main culprit. She's the one that made Adam eat the apple, right? So there's that whole thing. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, forget
Oh.
Christianity, in the Vietnamese culture, right? So the fact that women have to give birth, which is a painful process, we pull in like Buddhism and karma, and we say things like, well, the reasons because women are so evil, and so they're the ones who have to suffer. That's what they say, right? So
wow.
I feel like you can't win at this point, but we should just accept each other as equals, as who we are, and not just be like, oh, you're a woman, you have to do this, and you're a man, you have to do this. Because
You
a lot of things that men are being pressured to do, that's not fair either. Like,
Yes. And I wanted
Right?
to talk about that too,
Right.
that men have this whole thing that they have to be a certain way. They have to carry the weight.
Wrong.
And
Never.
that's led to what we call toxic masculinity, right? Because that's what they force themselves. They force themselves to not have emotions, to not express emotions, to just be this warrior that keeps going on. It is just horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
you guys have just lit a fire under me so bad right now, because for the last 2 or 3 days, I've been going on my walks and I've been thinking about what it is I want to do next. And I'll tell you, this theme has been running through my head about being a child, playing baseball, and everybody, all the boys come to the front. So because they don't think I can hit the ball as far, and maybe I can't. But the thing is that already putting me into that mindset or into that bubble that, okay, she can only do this much. I started carrying that narrative, and I have this anger in me, like, okay, why did I accept that narrative? Like, why did I accept it? I go sailing. My wonderful husband, my wonderful brother-in-law, they're so fabulous, honestly. But we get on the boat, and my sister-in-law and I are secondary on there. Why? Is it because we don't have the knowledge? We don't have the experience? Probably. But I have determined to myself, I am going to captain my own boat. I am going to do that, and I'm going to join other women, and I'm going to learn to do that, because I never want to feel that feeling.
We'll join you on your boat.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Take us on your boat.
Well, when I become a captain, I'll be happy to do that. But, I mean, it's scary. And it's scary standing in your own, standing in your own being and in your own confidence and shaking off that narrative that we have heard from my grandmothers and our mothers and our fathers and society. And, if we're truly going to be ourselves, like Smita, when we go through meditation and we come to ourselves, our core selves, who is it? What are our dreams?
Yeah.
How do we step into those and own
So
them?
I wanted to quickly bring that because
Sorry.
this day of Shiva, right? Now Shiva isn't complete without Shakti, which is with his feminine aspect. And so very deep in our culture is this knowledge that this world, this universe exists because of both masculine and feminine. And when they are in union and perfect balance, it's when things are perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's happened in our world is that patriarchy is what rules. So masculine and feminine, the feminine is suppressed and masculine is ruling. And that needs to change.
I would like to
And
hear from the two male
yes,
folks on the Zoom call today about what you think. And please be honest. Don't be afraid. We're not going to attack you, maybe, but
No, we won't.
no, we won't. Just tell us what you think. So how about Marcos? You want to chime in? You're mute, so I'm gonna you need to unmute. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with my family it was a little bit different, and my grandmother was the head of the household, but she did play her role, like she was the woman, you know, but in the Mexican culture, it's machismo, you know, so the man's the man, and the women has to do the women's stuff. So there's a big separation there, and it's also in the language, in the Spanish language, in Latino language. It's machismo language. They call it a romantic language. So the way you refer to when a woman speaks or when you speak to a woman is different. There's conversations about that too. So, and in my experience, well, I didn't grow up with my mom, so it was just me, my dad, my brother. So we had to do all the women's stuff. So, so I don't see a problem in that, and I feel like I didn't grow up that way, but I can see it in the families, in my friends' families and stuff. Yeah, and so yeah.
so Marcos, in your culture, do they look at cooking and all that as women's jobs, or?
Yeah,
See,
cooking is
there
a
you go.
job, and the way the men speak, and then when the way men speak when we're speaking amongst ourselves and joking and stuff, we're always talking crap, you know, about, you know, it's like, and it's just like now that the issues coming up with Pepe Le Pew, the skunk, you know, and all that, you know, and they're trying to get rid of that because it taught young boys that you can go out, you can do whatever you want to the cat, you know, which is, I feel that was true. That's wrong. It was bringing the wrong message to young boys' minds. But everybody's just like, oh, you know, and
Boys will be boys.
boys will be boys, exactly. And but yeah, it's very machismo culture in the Mexican culture, very much. You know, where the man is the head of the household, and if you're caught doing dishes or laundry or women's chores, they make fun of you. They call you names. They call you they'll call you um I forgot what they said, but they'll call you names, you know. And so
Yeah, a
yeah,
man who listens to his wife is called henpecked.
right, yeah, same thing,
That's
yeah.
a nicer term. We know the other term too, right?
So,
What about you, Tutin? What are your thoughts? I mean, you're the
What I thought-
oldest male Vietnamese man here, and I would love to hear your perspective.
Okay. For me, the woman is a love, for love. Okay. The man must take care. And the woman sometimes she stand up, talking the right thing. We must listen. Doesn't matter the woman or man. Okay. They they have available to do anything. I know it. But the man, I think the other way. The woman is make the different world for the man.
Hmm.
That I think. So in my house right now, I can do anything. But my wife will say, hey, you do no wrong. Then I do it. I'll say, I let she do it. Because that's her decision, you know. So she let me sit and write down the poetry and write down the novel. That's it. Thank you, everybody. That I think about.
Thank you, Joe. So in your household, it seems very balanced. It's a very, and I think because you're a very different kind of a male figure for the Vietnamese population, if you will, because you're very open, and because you write poetry, I think there's something about that that makes you reflect a lot more than your typical person, right? And so
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. So your wife is very lucky, and so are your children, I think.
Thank you. I have a problem. You know what? I have a two daughter. So if vote, she have a two, three vote. I have only one vote. So
So we have Elizabeth who's with us, and feel free to chime in if you'd like to share your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. If you're too shy, that's okay too.
thank you.
Yeah.
And Trami, you know that, when I do my regressions and I work with people, there's women with lives as men, and there's men who have lives as women. So as a soul, we can take on those roles. It's not like we are set, in stone, that we are only a feminine soul or only a masculine soul. The soul is a combination of both. So to me, in cultures where they treat a woman bad because she's given birth to girl child, and that is a culture where I come from. I always wonder that there's also this side of the culture that knows so much about the soul. So why can't they get it that it's only this birth, and then this is all divine creation? Every child, right? Man or woman, is divine creation. So it's very hard for me to understand why we treat our women folk so bad.
I
I
think
have
sometimes it comes out of necessity. I'm sorry, Marcos.
uh,
So for example, in Tibet, right, there is one community, if you will, where it's called polyandry, where the woman gets to marry multiple men.
Ooh, I like that.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ooh, let's move there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it comes out of necessity, because maybe when they migrated, a bunch of women died or men died, whatever the situation, sort of like Mormonism, right? When they first moved to the Salt Lake area, or wherever they moved prior to that, I don't really know all the history, but how a lot of men died, and so then men took on wives to help take care of them. But of course, it's then tied to religion and whatever. But I feel like it comes out of necessity.
I heard
And
that was
there's
part of because there was limited resources, and so it was hard. So it took multiple men to be able to run the household. So the women would marry multiple men. So because of the resources, and so that's how their culture, how that came about.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
saw a documentary. It was really interesting because the men, so they each stay in their own home, even though they're married. So the man would come over to woman's house. That is a multi-generational household, and the kids live there. He'd come over, hang out, does whatever, but at night he goes home.
so every man has his
That's pretty
cave.
cool.
Yes, maybe that's the way we should, formulate marriage, more success rate.
It might work.
Yeah,
one thing they
there's
did
a
bring up-
state in it.
Sorry, one thing
There's
they did bring up was the upbringing of the children was much better. Because of that, the children are raised by a village, if you will, so by many people. Yeah.
Right.
sure.
Right. Mhm.
So
Well-
there's the state of Kerala in India where actually there's a community there which is still matriarchal, and women are the head of the households. So it's still existing, and they had some very incredible ways. Like if a woman and a man were thinking about getting married, they could actually spend some time together, which wasn't allowed in other Indian communities, where
Right.
sometimes you saw your husband on the day you got married, after your marriage.
Wow. Yeah.
So here's another one. So this is in like Africa. There's a village, and it's called Umoja. So it's actually in Kenya. and where this woman was basically, when she was married, she was abused and all this, so she got tired of it, so she formed her own society where it's only women are allowed in that village.
Mhm.
If they have boy children by 18, they either have to leave, or the whole women group have to vote to allow them to stay. And the reason it was formed is really because they kept getting raped and all these things that men do to women, so they're tired of it and they form their own. So they learn how to build homes, they do everything themselves, but it's women only. I mean, that has to send a message out to men in the world, like, come on, it's enough with the abuse, right? So what do you think about that?
There's so much war, like the Hutsis and the Tutus, and when that whole thing happened in Rwanda, and there was massacres of people in that genocide. You know who brought that country back together? It was the women. They organized. They actually brought, I mean, after that kind of a betrayal between neighbors and people of different cultures in the same country, they actually healed their country. And so this comes to a larger topic of women in leadership and women in power and how they might lead differently than a man, you know?
Yeah. So I think next week we're going to be featuring Asian Pacific Islander women who have made changes.
I have
yes, go ahead, Marcos.
I have an experience with women that I work with. In my line of work, being with the union contract, women make the same as men. Same contract, same pay, same benefits. And some of my men coworkers talk a lot of crap behind everybody's back, and I've heard guys tell me they shouldn't have women on construction sites. But the women that I've ever worked with, they tend to be smarter. I hate to say it.
I love your honesty.
And I would love to leave with this thought that should the women who are homemakers get a salary, I would love to get a salary.
That's a good
and have
idea.
my own retirement fund.
That's a good idea.
Because my job never ends. It's 24/7.
That's a good idea.
But who would sign up together? All
my question.
Home workers for healthcare and all that,
I think
set up
it's
your own group.
Yeah, I think it's as a society, we have to sit down and think about it. It's just that we don't do that. We don't sit down and think about how to compensate. And I know there's this whole thing about, women are so dedicated to their families that it's kind of, but the fact is at the end of the day, a man gets to do with the money that he's earning, he gets to do whatever he wants, and the woman doesn't have any money to call her own. And so she's left to ask the husband or the partner that, can I use this money for something that I want to buy or use? I don't like that feeling of powerlessness that comes with, the job. And then a man who works outside will get, if they do a good job, they get to hear from the boss, or they have, every now so often they will get a report, they'll get a bonus. I don't think anybody turns around to tell their mom that, you know what, I really appreciate all that you did all those years, There was, things in the house, they just happen, right? Laundry happens, the food appears on the table, whether it's the weekend or whatever holiday, moms are on job 24/7. So I think we need to give it a serious thought.
Okay. I had like one more thought too, and it kind of escaped me. I'm sorry. I'm getting up there in age. It was such a good point.
But I just want to say to what Smita said, like, I was that woman who had that belief around money and power and powerlessness. And so I made it very clear to myself that I was probably 6 or 7 when I knew that I would have money. I was very clear about that. And then I didn't know ever how to me, it became like a way of independence that, okay, if I have my own money, I'm independent. The funniest thing has happened. I realized after in this marriage, oh my gosh, like I didn't have to have that narrative, because there are women out there who aren't like that don't have that narrative. And when I don't know what happened, maybe it was me trusting myself, maybe it was me getting to a point where I could accept that I didn't need to be in control. I never asked how much, I never in my marriage ever asked what I can spend or can't spend, or it is. And sometimes I wake up and I go, oh my gosh, like, how did I change? When did this start changing in my mind? This abundance versus, and not attaching financial with power. It's really interesting. It's a very interesting connection between this. So,
Mhm.
I think it's a
Yeah.
setup of the marriage. It really is. It depends on how you set it up. So
Mhm.
Ashley, listen.
Yeah.
And Esther, listen and learn. Set it up early. Like, expectations, don't fall into the trap of, let's say you decide to be a stay-at-home mom, whatever, or he's a stay-at-home husband, whatever. Just make sure you have that conversation, and then it's all good, because that's what I do. I sympathize for the moms, who don't get paid, or when you feel like you need to ask for money, and maybe because I'm Vietnamese, we don't have to do that because the women control the money at home. That's what we do. And so I automatically fall into that without having to have a huge discussion. So just think about that. I think fairness is good. So don't be like, oh, that's what I do. But I want, if I had kids, I'd be like, teaching my kids to abuse their men or their women. You can't do that. It has to be equal. You can't have it both ways.
And I think we have to teach our girls how to manage money.
Yep.
We have to teach them early how to manage money.
Yeah, we teach them how to put makeup on and look cute and not get a scar.
And to cook, right?
Yeah.
In my culture, you can't get a scar or else you won't get married, okay? Like, that's what's taught to you, right? Like, oh, don't fall, you're gonna get a scar. No one will marry you. So
are you serious?
Yes. You're like horrified of scars. And if you have one, which I do, I'm like, oh no. Like when I go on a date, I'm like, oh, I hope he doesn't see my scar.
Oh my gosh, that's awful. Like, you're so beautiful.
Your brain.
You were just gorgeous. I can't even imagine. I think you would look pretty even with the scar. I mean, crazy.
Funny.
That's repeated generation after another without question. And that's just, that's the point of today's show, is we want you to question your values. If they're still valid, keep them. If they're not, shift them, right?
Yeah.
And then one other lesson that I think is so cool, Mina, with your recipe is anything in excess is poison. So
yeah.
Right. So I think we're ready to wrap up, Esther, when you're ready.
Yeah, I think this is a lovely place to wrap up. Great conversation, great ideas, and great sharing of the different ways we grew up. So yeah, we'll be here again next week. Join us for more discussion like this whole entire month. We're honoring Women's History Month with individuals that we should all know about, and of course our own contributions. So yeah, next week we're going to be featuring an artist named Tadi Agi, and he certainly will be offering a lot to our Medi-Veggie program. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.